Okay, welcome to this workshop called Books, Articles, Syllabus Magic. This is going to show you how you can use the library's course materials platform called Leganto to create fun linked course materials lists that you can use in your Canvas course. And what I'm going to show you today is specifically focused on using the AI Syllabus Assistant to jumpstart those reading lists. So let's get started. Oh, and I'm Anna Carlin, and I am the Instructional Technology Librarian. And one of the things that I work on is the course materials platform in the library. So I just told you what we're going to do today. We're going to, if you've never seen the course materials or reading list tool Leganto, we're going to take a look at that and sort of how that can be used and why you would be interested in that. And then I'm going to show you how the Syllabus Assistant tool works. So you heard me say it a couple of times, but the FGCU library has a platform called Leganto, which we use to deliver comprehensive course materials lists. And the reason why we're doing this is that it lets you sort of combine the wealth of library resources that we have with other materials that you might have access to or that are available out on the web to create a nice comprehensive list of books, videos, articles, all in one place, easy for students to find. So let's go ahead and start looking at some examples of what these look like and how you might use them. Okay, I've clicked on many things here. So here's just one example. I went straight to a reading list, course materials list. You may hear me say both of those things. I'm referring to the same thing. You can access the course materials list directly through the library website or through Canvas. I'll show you that in a minute. I linked directly to this list. This is one that's being used in a Latin American politics class. You can see the name of the instructor in the course here. So the reading lists are linked to courses, and that's how these things can show up in Canvas, and I'll show you that. But you can basically add a whole bunch of different kinds of resources in here. This example I actually used for my course reserve DIY course reserves workshop because this is sort of like a professor who has used the library course reserves service a lot in the past. This is what this looks like now. When we want to put book chapters or books on reserve for classes now, they show up in a course materials list. I think you'll see on this list some PDFs. So here's one that you can view as a PDF. So this is something that we have scanned and made available for the class. So just a chapter of this book is something we can do for course reserve. This one is similar, I believe. It has a PDF that you can view. Here's one that's an ebook available through the library. There's just one chapter that the professor wants the students to read, so that shows up as a note in here. And then the link actually goes right to the ebook that we own in whatever platform that ebook is in. So you can see that this helps us sort of bring the links to these materials that we're paying for right into your course. Here's one where we own this book as a print book. It is available on the course reserve shelf. We've also scanned a chapter or two and put those in as PDFs. So this makes it really easy for your online courses to access course materials. The last one's just a PDF there. Let's look at some other examples. So here's another list. It's a pre-calc class. One thing I want to tell you that we do in the library is we do proactively create reading lists for any course that has a required textbook. So we actually get the list of the textbooks from the bookstore. We run through some automated processes and create reading lists every semester containing the required textbooks for the class. So you'll see in this one, the two required books for the class are actually not available through the library, but they do show up here as to let students know that those are the books that they need to have. And we put a little tag on there that just says, that they're not available in the library and that the students need to purchase them. But this instructor has also added some additional recommended resources that are available through the library. Or this is an OpenStax book, so that's actually an OER available out on the web. So the links just go to those resources. So this is a great way to sort of supplement those required textbooks with maybe some other additional vetted resources that the library can provide or that are available out on the web. Just to show you, here's one that's actually coming from our Access Engineering database. So we do have some actual textbooks in some of those databases. And for one more example of how people are using reading lists, this is one of the Gen Ed classes, American National Government. This is an example where the instructor has added quite a few resources. We have the, indicator of the course textbook is something that we don't own and the students will need to buy. And then the instructors put in some links to websites about the civic literacy exam to get them ready for that. So you can just put in links to freely available websites. Oops. Need to update that one. But there's a link. So this is just another way. You've probably done this in Canvas before, but to put these things together. And one of the things I like that she does here is she's linked a lot of videos in here that help explain some of the important court cases. And those come up right in the list. Oh, what did I do? So you can see it'll just pop up right inside that reading list if you don't want to go out to the course. I think, and I just want to point out too that you can set these up with weekly templates. So you can organize your readings and viewings by week. So, okay, so you got a little idea of what the reading list platform looks like and a little bit of what you can add in there. Let me show you how this works in Canvas. So apologies that I don't have a better example course, but this is just one that I have access to as an instructor. I set this up for an internship program that I used to do, but just to show you how you can add your course materials lists in Canvas, you can either add it as a course navigation element. I can't see all of my screen here. You go to the course settings, go to navigation, and you should find somewhere on here reading lists, and you can enable that. Save. And then you should see that as an option on the side of your class. And what that does, when you click on reading list, it's just going to look for any reading list that's associated with this course. So if something that the library's already made for you, maybe we've made that with the required textbooks, or if you start your own list or have already used a list that's associated with that course, it will pop up in here. Apparently I've made a newer one of this, but that's because I keep, demonstrating things. So it does embed it right in Canvas, makes it easy for the students to find when they're in that class. You can also add reading list elements to your modules. Scroll down. So here's a module I made for reading lists. I could add this item into my weekly templates if I wanted to, but then that just pulls that up inside the window. If you do a weekly template in the Leganto reading list, like if you have weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can put links just to each week in each module, so you can organize it that way. I know a lot of people have questions about why this is better than just putting links directly in Canvas, and I get that. I do think it kind of helps you manage the items a little bit easier in the reading list, rather than trying to find links and files that you've put in different places in Canvas. It all kind of puts it in one place, and you can reuse these lists year after year. So just if this is another class you teach every semester, every year, you just kind of duplicate, make a copy, reuse it. And I think it makes it easy to find all of the things you've gathered. Also, if you add links to library resources, you don't have to keep up with those. Those will always update on our end for you. Okay, so let's talk quickly about how you can create lists and add items to those lists so that you can appreciate how helpful this Syllabus Assistant is going to be. So you can either start directly from the library's website to access the course materials lists. You go to the library website, library.fgcu.edu. You go to search. Course reading lists is the link you would want to click on. If you're not signed in, it's going to prompt you to sign in. And what it's going to show you first is your lists. Well, if you're new to this, you may not have any list, or you may see the ones that the library has made for your courses in the past. You might not have even been aware that we did that. But from there, you can edit the lists that are there, or you can create a new one. So just to show you, you've got some options here. This is our AI assistant we're going to look at in just a moment. But if you didn't have anything you wanted to start with, you would just start from a blank list, give it a title, possibly a description. If you want to go ahead and link it to a course, you can. Just a note that once you link it to the course, it is going to show up. If you have a link in Canvas, it is going to show up for students once it's published. What you can do here too is to find your courses. Let's try. I have access to all the courses in the library system. You will probably only see the courses that you are an instructor of. So you just start typing in a course number and you should see that in your list. Just keep in mind, I don't know if it shows you the old things, that the terms are going to be indicated here by the year, and then 08 is fall, 05 is summer, and 01 is spring. So just make sure you link it up with the right one. I tend to start a new list and not link here yet because I can do it later, and then I feel like I'm more sure of what I'm doing. When you create a new list, you can either just start with a list of resources as a section. If you know that you're going to want to create a 15-week list here, you can go ahead and set up those numbers of sections and it'll label that for you, and then you can start filling those in. If you're not sure, you can always add those later, so don't stress about that. All right, so here's my blank list. I can just start adding things. I think, a lot of times, if you know there's something in the library you're going to use in your reading list, searching the library is pretty easy. My example here, I guess we're going to be doing a class about Harry Potter. I don't know. Something to search for. Searches through the library's collections. Shows me, which things we have physically available or online. Obviously, if you're teaching online classes, seems like you want to stick with online materials to make that easy for students. But I will tell you that if you add a physical item like this to a list, I go, yeah, I want my students to view this video. This is a video. When I pick a physical item like that to add to the list, we do sort of assume that you might want this on course reserve. If you've got 25 or more students in a class that need one thing, we probably need to take it off the shelf, put it behind the circ desk. So we ask you, would you like to add this to a restricted loan period? Hey, no, I don't need it to be moved. Or if it's a book that maybe you just need a chapter or two, you can go ahead and start that digitization request right there. So this makes it really easy to add the library materials. Adding other things like websites, personal scans, files, The files is pretty straightforward. Drop your file in there. It's going to ask you to fill in some information about that file. Manual entry is sort of the like everything else website option. Hey, I've got a website I want to add to this. Does it show like, hang on, video? Now I've forgotten. I'm just thinking if you want to put like a YouTube video in there, what you should put it in as. Website, probably. Because you need a place to put in your URL, but you can attach a file if you want to here, I guess. Oh, and here's where you put in your URL. So those are how you can add more things to your list. So you can go, add piece by piece each item you want to add to the list. I did want to make sure I showed you what this might look like in Canvas. If you go in Canvas, you add the reading list to your navigation. You click on that and you don't already have a list created. This is what you're going to see there. Same kind of options that you had when you went directly into Leganto from the library website. You can select an existing list. Maybe you started working on and you want to link to this course. You can create a new list from scratch, which is what I was just doing. And then this is our AI assistant that we wanted to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So I say, yeah, I want to import. You have a few options here. You can grab a syllabus and put it in here, or you can grab a list of references if you have citations in a Word document, or you can paste them in here. Those are all ways you can get started adding items to a list. So let's just, I'm actually going to back out and go to directly to Leganto. And the only reason I'm doing that is I don't really want to make new lists associated with my class, which is what is going to happen if I do it in Canvas right now. I just want to go back to make some new lists here. So let's create a new list. I want to import course materials. Same screen we saw in Canvas before. I have a syllabus in a PDF. Did it work? Okay. I just dragged it, I dropped it in there. I could have navigated to it through my file explorer, but I just had it over here on my other screen. I dragged it in there. This is actually a syllabus for a law and higher ed class. So I just drag it in there. The AI is doing its work. It's looking at the syllabus, trying to figure out where any references and citations are and trying to make the most of those. It could take a little while. We may use the magic of video editing to speed this up. All right. So it has finished its work. It brought in a list name based on what was on the syllabus. And it tells me it found 40 items in 14 sections. So it created a bunch of sections for me. I just want to see what happens. So I'm going to hit create list. Look at everything that has happened just from me dropping in a PDF of my syllabus. So what it tries to do is make sense of the different sections in your syllabus. So like it tried to just create like, here are the things, the readings that you need for this class. It made some copies. So we've got, 2 copies of the Constitution in this textbook. Those are, if you didn't like that, those are pretty easy to just delete. Hey, those are unneeded copies. It also tried to look at different sections and create the course assignments in here. There's really nothing here. They're just sort of placeholders. So this is marginally helpful. It really depends on whether you would need to have assignments in here. Maybe there's readings associated. this doesn't make a whole bunch of sense for this course from what I know of it. So you can just delete those. But it has also gone through and created weeks with dates based on what was in the syllabus and added the readings that were indicated. And I can try to show you. It just went through this table here, found the weeks and the dates, looked for readings in here, and tried to plop them in the list. So it did a pretty good job. This is the textbook. It just kind of, again, this is a duplicate. I could delete. So this is a textbook that we own. So as a student, I can come in here. Let me view as a student. If I came into the reading list, I'd say, what do I have to read this week? I'm supposed to read these pages, and I click on the link and it takes me right into the ebook that's available from the library. Kind of goes through the same thing in the later weeks. Got notes in here about what I need to read, links to the book. This course has some references to cases. The syllabus didn't have any links or tell you where to find those cases, so it just put in the metadata. So this is something, it did help us out and add these to the reading list. If I was teaching this course and I did this, I would probably go back in here and edit this item. As an instructor. And go try to find, if there's an open web resource that I wanted students to look at for this case, find the URL, paste it in here. If I was using a database, if there's a database that I wanted the students to use to access this case, I might be able to grab a link from that database, or I might be able to add that. What did I just do? I might be able to add that as a library search. I'm not really sure. You can search for articles in the library search, but I'm not so sure about specialized database. Well, so there's some articles from some very old law reviews about this case. But again, maybe these are things that I want to add for students to look at. But if these are available through our databases like these are, I can really easily add it to the list. And I can drag it down to the appropriate week. But here you can see that the Syllabus Assistant did a pretty good job of finding all the different weeks, putting in the notes about which chapters need to be read, and adding in those supplemental case readings. It doesn't the AI doesn't always work that well. Let me just show you some other examples of lists that I made based on syllabus documents that I just dropped in here. Here's an FGCU course syllabus that I pulled, just dropped it in here. It found the required textbooks. This one is one that we have online through the library. And this we have the APA manual in print that students could use, and it goes through what it did here too. This is the same book as up here, and it didn't seem to connect it with the library's version. So that's something that we need to edit afterwards. But it certainly gets you started. I can show you one more example. Let's import our course materials, make a new list. I'm gonna grab a syllabus for an intro to literature class and see what it does with that. Okay, it finished its work. It found 32 items and made 2 sections. Let's see what that looks like. So it made the, required text section, put in the name of the book. It does not appear that we have this book. Now I will tell you, let's look at the syllabus real quick. Okay, so this one does have an ISBN listed for the book. So that's super helpful. If your syllabus has that identifier on there for a textbook, that will really help the tool identify the right edition. I think we have an older edition of this book. We just don't have this particular one. And then it has the course schedule. I think these are all probably available in that textbook. Oh no. So this is another funny thing. I ran this once already. I'm scrolling really fast here, sorry. Yeah, I actually did this one earlier and dropped the syllabus in there, and it created all these different entries, but I will tell you, it did it differently. It actually put the names of the short stories and the authors in anthology, so I assumed they were all parts of this book. So it did it differently this time, and I will tell you about this Syllabus Assistant. It will behave differently every time. You could drop the same syllabus in and create a list multiple times, and it'll do something a little bit different. So you could always try. If you're not satisfied with the results you get the first time, you could try it again and see if it does something you like more another time. I like this less than the first time that it ran it. Okay, so I think this is a good enough demonstration of dropping in a course syllabus and what's going to happen when you do that, and your options there. It certainly does kickstart. You can start editing things in here even if they're not quite right, but it just helps you from having to sort of manually enter each of those items in the list. One other thing that the AI lets you do is like paste in a list of references. So let's go back here. I'm going to create a list with importing course materials, and what I'm going to do is actually go to Zotero, which is a citation management software that the library recommends. I've collected a whole bunch of articles in Zotero on a particular topic. I can export those references or create a bibliography with those. And I'll paste them in here. I'll be right back. Okay, so real quick, I went to Zotero. I found my folder of 33 references here. I'm going to create a bibliography. Okay. I could probably just put it directly in Leganto, but I'm going to just paste it into this Word document so that I can see what happened. All right. So these citations that are coming from Zotero are pretty complete. They look pretty good. Lots of the authors, dates, DOIs, full citation information. I'll select all. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go back to my list I was going to make, and I'm going to paste them in there. Say, create me a list. Just to point out, I can also do this on an existing list if I just want to add items to an existing reading list using this, paste in the references approach. Okay, it finished. I'm not going to lie, that one took a little bit longer than some of the other ones, probably because it was actually finding a lot of things it could link to. So I'm just going to go ahead and create the list so we can see what it did. I put in 33 things. It spit out 33 things. And there are links to all the articles. all the articles, the books that I had listed in there are not linked in any way, probably because the library doesn't own them, but the articles are all linked up with library resources, going out to the databases. So if you have lists of articles like that, or references you could copy and paste from a works cited or a bibliography, drop it in the reading list tool like that, and it's going to automatically find all the links in the library databases if we have them. So that's just one other way to kind of do this really quickly rather than having to go in, 33 different times. I could do that. Search the library for the article title. I do find it, same thing, but I'd have to do that 33 different times. What I did by copying and pasting was pretty simple. Okay, so to recap what we looked at, we learned a little bit about the course materials lists if you didn't know it already, and then I showed you how you can jumpstart those reading lists using a syllabus. You can create a new list using your syllabus or a list of references, or you can add additional materials to an existing list using that same method. If you want to use that list of references, you can go out, use a citation manager that you might already use, like Zotero, RefWorks, Mendeley. I think I spelled right. Or if you just copy and paste a bibliography or a works cited from somewhere and paste that into your reading list, it should do a lot of that work for you. So what can you do next? Now that you've watched my examples, you can go out there, look at your own reading list. If they exist, you can create new ones. The easiest way to access the course materials list platform is to go to the library website, click on that search menu at the top and find course reading list, and that'll get you in there directly to work on your list. If this is the first time you've been hearing about this, or it's not, but you just like some more information, we do have some guides. Excuse me. We have some guides on the website to the reading list platform. Some other videos that sort of tell you how you could use it. There's a quick start guide to getting your list in Canvas if you forgot how I did that before. Showing you how to add things, publishing, reusing your list, and there's quite a lot of sort of specific questions and answers here in the FAQs and training. If you're like, she said something about adding links to chapters or making a link to a section to go in Canvas, this will walk you through that specifically. So look for answers to your questions there. And if this is the first time you're hearing about the reading list platform and you just kind of want to get a walk through again of all of those things, we do have this reading list training course for faculty here that will maybe tell you some of the things I talked about in this workshop, but perhaps in a little bit more detail. I hope you found this informative and interesting, and that you're feeling inspired to get out there and make some of your own reading lists.